Awesome. So yeah, just a little bit about me. This isn't about business, but this is what I do. I am a travel agent, and I run my travel agency. I think in the way a travel agency needs to find itself in today's market. We can all book and look at travel online. I'm here to help cut through that noise, and I'm here to help match people up with the right product. You know, I used to joke with people and say, "Oh, well, travel it's expensive. It's more than a bag of groceries." But a bag of groceries is kind of getting up there now. But in any case, you're spending your money, you're spending your time, and whether you're retired or not, it's about finding that right match. And I think a lot of people can easily look at stuff online, but you really know what you're looking at. And that's what I try to help people out. So looking at tour operators and connections that really help us see our planet in a sustainable way, in a way that empowers local communities and allows people to have a really authentic experience, which you'll see on my trip to the Amazon. I think it's very authentic. Let's go to the next slide. I have a 3-minute video I'm going to show at the beginning, and then I'm going to go into more of a presentation, and then I'll have a video at the end to close with. So I'll let Vincent put on this video that are my top highlights from my time in the Amazon.
I'm DestinationWhatever.com, and I just got back to nature on a 1-week Amazon river cruise. Well, we're going to be embarking here in Nata on the Amatista with G Adventures for the Amazon.
Of course,
yes.
We are in the Amazon. Welcome to the Amazon.
Yay. It's the Amazon. The Amazon River. Up that way is Brazil. I'm in Peru. The Amazon has more kinds of plants, birds, and fish.
Catfish. Remember, we have about 5,000 species of fish in the Amazon
than anywhere else on the planet.
Catfish, my friend. Look at that.
I really don't want to get bitten by a piranha, but I do want to catch a piranha or two. And it's a piranha. The Amazon creates 20% of our planet's oxygen. I'm gonna plant a tree right now here in the Amazon rainforest because keeping the Amazon alive is muy importante. Push deeper into the world's largest rainforest and discover how life interacts with nature.
¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama?
Banana boats, and they are just moving things along in the Amazon.
Let's say buenos dias to Mr. Abrams.
Hiking in the Amazon jungle. Brazil nut tree. This type of jungle we would call an impenetrable jungle because there's literally no trails on the ground. We're getting around with our guides who are hacking our way through using a machete. Did you know that lily pads can be hermaphrodites? I didn't know that until I got to the Amazon.
This is a ground boa.
As if this jungle walk couldn't give any more, apparently a tarantula has been spotted. So let's go take a look at a tarantula inside the Amazon rainforest. I'm DestinationWhatever.com, and I'm a travel agent who loves connecting people with amazing places. Click on the like button below and subscribe for more content, including from my Amazon adventure.
We'll just flip back over to the photos now, and I'll just go through what the ship looked like, and then I'll just talk about my 1-week program. So the tour, the one you see in the catalog, and as you do it, it's a 9-day presentation. You have bookender days in and out of Lima, so that's the capital of Peru. That's where everybody flies into, and we're going to start from there. And then they take care of everything. We went to the Lima airport, and we took a 2-hour flight into the city of Iquitos. And that's a city of 1 million people that can only be reached by cargo ship up the river or by air. You can't drive there. There's no highways. There's one highway in the jungle from Iquitos to Nauta. It's about 75 minutes. And so we did drive in the Amazon, but that was it. And then we were on the ship for the rest of the time. So this is a fly in, fly out type of place, and very inaccessible. And then 1 week sailing around the various rivers. We went on 3 rivers. The intersection of the Amazon, it goes into a Y, and then it goes up. One way it's the Ucayali River, and the other way it's the Rio Marañón. We went on both of those rivers, and those rivers form the boundary of the Pacaya-Samiria National Reserve. And I didn't know that there's a difference between a national reserve and a national park. And what a reserve denotes is that people still live in this area following practices of a traditional indigenous lifestyle. So all the people that we saw in the Amazon, the children running around barefoot, the fishermen, the people in the boats, all of it. These are people that aren't there for show. This is not tourism in that sense of the word. This is really going out to the outer edges where people live in a way that really hasn't developed too much. They have got cell phones. They figured that out, but I think that's about it, folks. So let's take a look at the photos, and we'll start by just going to the next slide. And this is the Ametista. So this ship was our home and our transportation, and all things were carried out. The name La Ametista comes from Spanish language. It means amethyst. And the ship, as I was saying, it can accommodate 28 people in 14 cabins. So the cabins can set up with 2 single beds or 2 or 1 double. I was traveling with my friend from Texas. We met on a small group, actually on a G adventure 10 years ago in China. So we were celebrating our 10-year anniversary as travel buddies. And yeah, so we obviously had a 2-bed setup. Each cabin has air conditioning, and it has its own bathroom, which was great. And then the 2 levels there where the accommodations are, there's a restaurant at the end, and then above that is a lecture lounge we'll take a look at. The top 3rd floor is the tropical bar area, which is a lot of fun. And so within the crew of 12, there's a bartender. And then at the very top, you can see a little caged area. You can actually take a staircase up to the very top, and there's a small little observatory area there, and probably about 4 or 5 people can get up there with lawn chairs, and you can sit up and watch the Amazon stars at night, which are amazing. We got to see the Southern Cross and the Milky Way, and of course with no ambient light pollution. So the ship is built to look older than it really is. The ship was built in the mid-90s, and it's been kept up to date. However, it's built in the style to reflect the older days of sailing. So ships from the 20s, the 30s, things like that. Let's go ahead. And so this is the tropical bar area. So free time was spent up here, and you've got drinks up here. And actually, these chaise lounges that were upgraded for our cruise. This is a ship picture from G Adventures, but it's a little bit better on my videos. You'll see they're nice teak chaise lounges, so you can relax and read your book and be totally comfortable. I mean, they just took care of us so well. I know it looks like we were going on Survivor, and in some ways we were out in the nature like that, but we would come back to our boat and they would have cold, wet face cloths. And so it was a very nice experience. Let's keep going ahead and take a look at the lecture lounge. So they would conduct lectures here during free time, and often in evenings, the crew liked to perform. So our crew would all take on musical instruments, and they would sing to us songs from the Amazon, songs traditional to Peru. We heard La Bamba and Feliz Navidad, so some Spanish songs, all sorts of things. And this is an air-conditioned spot, so when you have free time in the afternoon, if you want to just take your book and go and chill out here and be comfortable, you can certainly do that. Let's go ahead. This is Ametista, what it looks like when it sails around. So we would dock, and you can see there's no docks in these places. This is not like going on a cruise where you're going to walk down the gangway into a town that's set up for tourism. There might be wooden steps, and other times we would get in our little boats that you've seen. Those are called skiffs. That's a word you'll hear me use a lot today. And the skiff would literally just drive right into the bank, and we would hop off into these unexplored areas. And like that, these boats are brought right up against the riverbank. Let's go forward. This is the dining facilities on La Ametista. And so a little interesting tidbit about La Ametista, I'm not exactly sure about the political situation, but there was a row between Ecuador and Peru in the late 90s, and that was resolved by the signing of a treaty by both presidents who met on La Ametista. And so the center table in this dining room is actually about 2 inches taller than the other ones, the presidential table. But essentially you get seating for 4 here, and so all your meals are served here, breakfast, lunch, dinner. The food was exquisite. It was not fancy. We did not have to dress up. It wasn't that type of a cruise. But I mean, we had amazing food. I'm vegetarian. We had gluten-free people. All dietary intakes were satisfied. And one really cool thing for me that I didn't expect to get out of going down there was the tropical fruit was just so juicy and succulent. And they had things that I had never even heard of, fruits that tasted like butterscotch pudding and just the most amazing thing. So food was a really great experience. And then again, look at all those windows. So we would just be out looking at the river as we were dining. Amazing. Let's go ahead to the next one. This is the room in a 2-bed configuration. And you can see that there's some traditional touches, but they're quite simply decorated, but very comfortable. And lots of plugs, North American style, European style. So we had no problem keeping our electronics charged up. Let's go ahead. This is the double configuration, and then the room, the door off to the side, that would be where you would go into your bathroom. There's a small desk, and there's life jackets and a cubicle to store your bags. So we were very comfortable in our cabin. Let's go ahead to start taking a look and unraveling the trip. So a lot of people were like, well, what did you do in the Amazon? And a typical day would look like what I've put here. There'd be a morning activity, we'd have breakfast. Some mornings were early. 6:30 was not an uncommon start time, and that meant 6:30, be in your skiff with your life jacket on, ready to roll. Sunrise, sunset, predictably, because it's on the equator, at 6 a.m., 6 p.m. And then, afternoon, we would have a post-lunch siesta. It really wasn't super duper hot in the Amazon in the morning and the late afternoons, but in the afternoon, it would get really hot. And so animals don't do anything, people don't do anything. This is the time just to relax. And then we'd have late afternoon activities, and then evening, I would say supper was more like a European schedule. Mealtime would typically start between 7 and 7:30. And then it would end with people just dispersing around 9 o'clock and maybe having some drinks upstairs or just going back to their room. And we'd get debriefed for the next day as well during supper time. Let's go ahead. And so day one, we fly into Iquitos and took a bus down to Nauta. Here I am at Nauta, just about to jump on the ship. And again, the flight was about 2 hours, and they do a couple flights a day. Again, this town is only available to be reached by flight. And in the afternoon, our transfer was about 75 minutes. And again, we were really well taken care of on this package. Our bags were handled for us. Again, those cold towels were coming out. They had lunch for us in the bus while we were transferring. So again, I think anybody could do this type of a trip. You don't have to be like a hardy adventurer. And then sunset, we had crew introductions. They had amazing canopies up on the 3rd floor, so little bite-sized morsels, and we were having drinks, and it was just wonderful watching the sunset. And then they said, I hope you're ready to go into the jungle. We're taking you out at night. And I thought, at night, I'm not ready to go out at night. Something's going to eat me. It was really cool. And we went to go look for caiman, which are the crocodiles that you'll find there, and they flash the light. So we look for reflection in the eyes, and that's how we know they're out there. But I didn't know darkness could be so dark until I got to the Amazon. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at our sunset. This was during the canopies, and really nice. And then the next shot, you can see how dark it gets. This is, if it sunsets at 6:15, I swear to God, this is like 6:30. And on my YouTube channel, I have a video of this moment where you can listen to the sounds of the jungle at night. The Amazon is constantly producing natural noises. So you're not going to hear the noises of the modern world, of course, but rather the birds, the insects, the chirping, the sounds of wind in the trees. I mean, there's a whole symphony going on out here. Next slide. And again, you can just see next slide how dark it is, but the flashlight where they would try to illuminate anything we could see. We got a little bit of rain actually when we went out here, and they had ponchos for us. So again, really well taken care of with the jungle. Let's go ahead and This would be the video online. I don't have it linked to the presentation, but if you go online, you can hear those nighttime sounds. And if we go ahead, this is day 2. So we woke up at 6:30. We jumped into the skiffs. We were going to go see pink dolphins. I didn't know there were pink dolphins in the Amazon. And the dolphins are there from prehistoric times. You know, the Amazon used to run into the Pacific, and then when the Andes came up geologically, it reversed the flow of the Amazon all the way to the Atlantic, making it one of the world's longest rivers. When that happened, pink dolphins were stuck there, and they continue to be found today. And then we went to a butterfly sanctuary in the afternoon, and more nature spotting. We entered officially into the Pacayas area. And then we had a dinner on board and just some amazing stargazing, the crew singing for us, just real fun times. Let's go ahead. So this is me and my friend from Texas, and you can see we're setting off in the morning, and we'll just keep zipping ahead because you don't need to see me, you can see the next picture. This is a catfish farmer, so we would just, a lot of moments that we would have in the Amazon were organic, and what I mean by that, they weren't planning for anything. They were just, we're gonna go down the river and see what we could find. And we rolled up onto these guys who had been there overnight. So they spent the whole night in the jungle, in their dugout, waiting for catfish. And then they fish and they take the fish into Malta and sell it at the local market. There are 5,000 species of catfish, and there are more fish than any results in the world found in the Amazon. So let's go ahead. And then you're seeing the local fisher folk doing their thing like this. I love that sort of scenario. I could look at this sort of thing all day long. Next picture. Coming back to Ametista, so a lot of people ask, how did I get on and off of the ships, or what sort of ability do you need to get on and off the ship? They'll literally take this skiff that we're on and bring it right over to that ladder that you can see on the side of Ametista, and then you would just walk up this grooved metal. They have a crew member there to hold your hand and to keep you linked, so if you're worried about being wobbly, they'll make sure it's secure. So it's very safe if you're able-bodied, you can get on and off that skiff. Let's go ahead. So this is cool. After breakfast, we went back out. We're getting really near that area where the Amazon River meets the Maranon and ukulele. Ukulele is an instrument. So there's this big piece of wood in the Amazon, and things I didn't know about the Amazon that I learned down there was that this is a really fast-moving river, and because of the current and the soft sand riverbanks, there's up to 5 to 15 meters of bank erosion every year in the Amazon. So with erosion like that, these big, beautiful trees fall into the river, and then they get stuck there and then decay there, and of course that starts to feed the river. It's all an ecosystem that goes around. But for that reason, we did not sail much at night. And if we did sail, they had a big spotlight they would put, the captain would drive very carefully, because you can hit things in the Amazon. This is a river that's best navigated during daylight hours. And so typically in the evening, actually it wouldn't be typical, every night what we would do is we'd just come into a place like this, and then one of the crew would jump onto the riverbank and find a huge tree and wrap up this big rope to tie us so that we could just bob there for the evening and not have to worry about driving into logs like this. Let's go ahead. This was another cool thing, again, just keeping in the idea of the people that live out there. So for the people that live in the reserve, this is transportation for them. There are no cars. The waterways are the roadways in the Amazon. And so we just saw all sorts of like little boats like this ferrying people around. Let's keep going. More of the riverbank, and just so you can see how that active, constant erosion is just an ongoing feat of nature in this part of the world. Okay. And some splashing, because we're heading back to the Ametista. You can see it's parked there just waiting for us. So often again, when we would go on their skiffs for a couple of hours, there would be some behind the scenes things. The crews would of course clean their cabins. Our cabins were cleaned twice a day, get our lunches ready, get those cold face cloths ready for us, all that nice stuff. Trucking. So later that day we went to a butterfly farm, and you'll see that in my video at the end about the amazing women that I met in the Amazon rainforest. But this was a really cool interactive experience, and I got to release my butterfly. Go ahead. And this is the town of Vista Alegre. If you've studied Spanish, you might be able to work out that means a happy viewpoint, a happy view, Vista Alegre. These towns, there's not much to them. These are what I would call an outpost or maybe even a backwater, and I mean that in a respectful way. You've gone way off the beaten path. You can see the corrugated tin roofs, lots of children, lots of laughter. Their main language that you would hear is Spanish, but you would also hear indigenous language, and they just love playing soccer. And our group of 21 was interesting because in that mix, we had two sets of grandparents that had each taken their teenage grandchildren. And so the grandkids loved playing soccer, the grandparents loved watching them. But it just goes to support this idea that this type of an adventure trip would be something that could be done in different generations and could be done together. Let's go ahead. So you can see another picture of our group mixing with the kids after the soccer. That was really fun. That's why I like the G Adventures as well. It's getting into like these experiences that are, you know, you're just not going to go to Peru and find your way to this. You need to be brought to some place that's off the beaten path. Go ahead. So just getting towards the end of the day, you can see the shift of daylight. We're just cruising around the Samaria, and again, through the waterways that make up this national reserve. And we'll continue. And their guides had this uncanny ability, at least to me, it was really uncanny in that all I could see was greenness, and they would be like, oh my God, there's a spider monkey right there at 2 o'clock. And of course, I'm that guy from like the modern world, like, where? And we would just roll up, and then we'd jump off and just go hacking and whacking into the jungle, and it would show us the amazing critters and flora and fauna that exist out there. Let's keep going. And then I just love, again, moments like this. I love meeting the children of the Amazon. I love seeing their innocence, and I love seeing that for them, like this is their life. And this, you saw her in the video, this is Flor. Her name means flower. Let's keep going. And our guide, and you can see the village in the back. And so our guides are from these communities. So this type of tourism is sustainable tourism in that this man would have been a child like this running through the jungle, and through sustainable tourism has been able to learn a few languages and get a job in the tourism sector. And he was interesting as well because the US DEA has actually hired him as well because he's so good around the jungle. I can't imagine what sort of drug the US would be thinking they'd find in Amazon. Anyway, it will come to me. Cocaine, obviously. But he's just very well educated, and again, a lot of that comes through responsible tourism. Keep truckhead, so we're just finishing. I should also mention that, so in our group, I wanted to show this picture because when I say our group, I mean our crew. Out of the 12 people, 4 of those people were there just to make sure we had the best nature experiences. And so on each skiff, we would be divided into 10 and 11, but it could go up to 14, 14. There would be the driver, who you see photographed here, and again, that naturalist guide. And they would work together to him driving the skiff and the other one saying, go here, go there, and spotting the greatness to the nature. It's amazing. Let's finish just another sunset in the Amazon. This was the daily way to wind down, just looking at that beautiful sky. We'll finish up. So day 3, we had a daybreak excursion. This would have been our earliest morning, 5:30 in the morning. And then we did a walking tour in Nauta. We went to the market. That was crazy. And then we had some heavy rain, so we actually came back to Amatista for a little bit. And then we did some more nature spotting in the afternoon. I should say, you know, this is a rainforest. It rains every day in the Amazon, even in the dry season, which is when I went. The dry season starts in May and it goes through till pretty much right about now, mid-October, and then it becomes the wet season. All that means is it's wetter. It's wet at any time of the year. Let's go ahead. 10-minute showers, quick bursts, nothing major. So here we are setting off 5:30 in the morning. You can see a little bit before daybreak. This is a really special photo because it's probably the only time in history you'll see me photographed at 5:30 in the morning with a smile on my face. So just make note. I was up early because we wanted to go and see the lily pads in the Amazon, and they're best seen in the morning. We'll go ahead. So again, this would be an idea if you were to go down there, like how you would get into the jungle. This would be an example of where there's been a very primitive staircase built to kind of get up that heavily eroded riverbank, and then we would go on into the jungle on a trail. And we'll go to the next slide. So these are the jumbo lily pads that you can find in the Amazon, and they're actually named the Victoriana genus, and it comes from Queen Victoria. They were discovered at that time of exploration, and because they're so large, they were named as Her Majesty's name. And what's really interesting, why we go so early, towards the back, I don't know if it's as visible in this picture as I would like, but there's little white flowers that come open at nighttime. And in the morning, when it starts to warm up, they emit a really sweet dew, which attracts beetles into the flower. And then once it gets a little bit warm, the flower will close and capture the beetle inside, which basically is going to kill the beetle, and the plant will digest the beetle and life will go on. And so they wanted us there in the early morning because you could smell that sweet dew that was there from their early morning hunting. Who knew a plant could hunt? Keep looking at the lily pad. So, and again, one of my videos online, if you circle back, if you're interested, you can get an ASMR video, which is another way of just saying a video of just the nature sounds. If you want to see what the Amazon sounds like at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's beautiful. Let's go ahead. So again, we're just heading back down to our skiffs. I think we were just heading back to breakfast. We'll go to our next slide. Then we're back into Nauta. This is the yucca root, which is a commonly eaten starch staple of the Amazonian people. I thought it tasted like warm snot. That's not a great review, but this is very common, and you'll see this in the Amazon, and chances are they'll eat it. And they'll serve it like a mashed potato. They'll cut it into chips and fry it. It's like a potato out there. You can go ahead. And I like Nauta, the town. There are, again, some cars. There's a few roads out in this outpost, and 300,000 people live in Nauta. But I like the Spanish colonial feel of walking around the city, and I like the graffiti that you see in this picture, or the wall murals, I should say. Go ahead. Then back to Amatista, and again, you can just see people live on this river, right? So here we've got it's a banana boat, like they're literally collecting bananas and bringing them into the market. So I love seeing daily life like that unfold right in front of my face. Well, keep going. We have the banana boat in close shot, and the Amazon River, of course, you can see it's so brown, it's so silty. You know, there's so much stuff in there. It's constantly stirring up dirt with that heavy rate of speed, and with all the erosion, there are things decaying in the river the whole time. The river itself is an ecosystem. Keep going. I like this picture because it shows again those impressive riverbanks and the height of the jungle, but just the width of this part of the river as well. This would be about 3 kilometers across. So big river. Going. This is an example of when you go into and out of the reserve. You have to, we would just stay in the skiff, but our guide would have to go in and clock in with the ranger and then clock out when we were going in. So any entry and exit to the national reserves for people that are not residents of the reserve, that's all tracked, that's all monitored with the rangers. And that's to help prevent unwanted entry. We don't want poachers getting into these very special environments. Going back. I like this picture of my friend, and the reason is just because we just rolled up on these people that were just fishing out there. And it was funny because only the guy was talking to us in Spanish, and then our guide would translate it into English, and he was showing us the catch. But you can really see that the woman was running the show, and I think she was telling him where they're going fishing, what time they're going fishing, what they were fishing for, how she's going to cook the fish. Like, she just had a certain energy to her, and they show up in the video. We'll take a look at in a few minutes. But just reaching out to cultures like this, it's just phenomenal. And just make a picture as well too of that skiff. This would be the other skiffs. There'd always be the 2 skiffs, and we'd kind of be in tandem. Sometimes we get a little bit separated, but never too far from each other. And we would just keep going down and down these little rivers. And so these rivers become almost creeks and little estuaries. And it would remind me of like when you see a picture of lungs and it branches out into sub branches of the lungs. That's exactly what this river is like. You start on the river and just keep going deeper and deeper and pushing. And this thing could literally sail and turn around in a mud puddle. It's just an amazing little vessel. Let's keep going. Day 4, what did we do on day 4? Oh, this was a really cool day. We had a morning skiff into the jungle, which we got to watch pink dolphins, and they served us breakfast in the jungle, which is amazing. And then we went planting a tree in this town called Diente de Enero. And then we met a shaman priestess that evening in the town of St. Regis, well, just outside of St. Regis. What you see photographed here would be one of the youngsters in Diente de Enero. And she's holding, I think it's called a kukabaya. It's like Amazon. Let's go ahead and take a look at this day. So here we are in the morning light. We're sailing away from Amatista. And if we go to the next picture, right now Amatista is parked on the main river, and then we were parked right in front of this. So you can see the river runs down. And so we'd always start running off onto this main branch, and then from there going into the sub branches and the further sub branches until we were out there as far as you can get. Let's keep going. This is on our way to the morning breakfast, and you can start to see again the river becomes a bit closer. We're winding our way inside of the Amazon jungle. Next picture. This is the first snake I saw in the Amazon. I'll tell you why this is really special. There's no head on this snake, so we were sitting there having our breakfast, and literally they found a snake that I guess its head got eaten off by a vulture and just fell into the river. And so, yeah, I don't know, found that interesting. And if you ever wondered what a snake with decapitation looks like, here you go. We'll keep going. Another thing that was interesting, we don't have to go back to the picture, but just with the river, sometimes we would see bubbles coming to the surface of the Amazon, and somebody asked earlier, they're like, oh, what's that? And this was so cool too about having those nature guides. You could ask any questions. It's catfish that are suffocating, because I was there at the beginning of dry season, so the river is drying up and they're gasping. And that's just how the nature works. And it sounds really cruel, but they will gasp until they can almost not take another breath. And that's when wet season starts, and the river fills up, and they get to go through the whole annual cycle again. An example here, again, we just pulled off. I can't remember what we had saw here, if it was a bird or if it was a primate of some kind, but there was something we had to walk in and see. And I wanted you just to see what it looks like how thick that jungle is. We've got vines coming down. We've got about a foot of decomposed leaves and greenery. So everywhere as you're walking, it's crunch, 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 crunch. And let's go ahead, because I got something really cool. This is the skin of an anaconda. So anacondas will grow to about 30 feet, and they have an incredible mass. These are the biggest snakes in the jungle. And one anaconda, they're very territorial, and they will, per every 2 square mile area, you will find one anaconda. So seeing this dead skin that our guides reckoned was probably about 2 or 3 days old, told them that there's been an anaconda in this 2-mile stretch. So much fun. And here I am back into my back into the skiff, just for making a splash, and we're heading off to the next town. And we'll go to the next slide. But really, it was so much fun because we were on the edge, and we had these guides to keep us safe. So here we are in the town of Diente de Enero. There's more soccer, and just again, these villages. I just love looking at the way of lifestyle. It just made me reflect and think about how different it was from the world. This isn't Moose Jaw. This isn't what I see on the daily. And we were here to plant a tree, which if we keep going, we keep going to the next slide. But I didn't get any pictures of that. You'll see that in my video. And here I am canoeing on the Amazon. So the local women here have a project where they will take travelers, visitors, and take them out for a canoe ride. So that was really cool. And we'll just advance. There you can see one of the women in the community. She's pushing my friend around in their canoes. We love that. And we'll keep going. And then here we are later in the afternoon. After siesta, we went to a healing hut with this shaman. And she's going to come up in the video, so we're going to see her again in a minute. So I won't spend a lot of time here, other than just to say this was my highlight because I was able to have a very personal connection there in a way that was just so meaningful. It was a life-changing moment. It was something that I will truly never forget, and I was really thankful to have this opportunity. But what you see on her table, different plants that she gathers to use for healing. In the bottles are different solutions, different medicines that are like elixirs that she makes with different roots, including ayahuasca, which is a hallucinogenic drug. And if you can believe it, I actually have, and I invite you after the presentation to come down, I have a sample of ayahuasca wood here and some an anklet that she gave me that has some beads from the Amazon, and as well as a few specimens of some wood, if you want to see what the wood from down there is like. Really amazing woman, amazing story. We'll see her in the video. So we'll go ahead for now. And then just back to the town of St. Regis, we just had a little walk around this town. This is probably like the biggest town that we encountered, and the population here would be 3,000 people. And we'll go ahead to the next slide, just the sunset, the palm trees. Another way you know you're not in Moose Jaw when you see palm trees like this. And we'll keep going. And then there's another beautiful Amazon sunset. And we'll go ahead, going, and then the nightfall in the Amazon, nestled on the shore. I like this picture because if you have a sharp eye on the right, you might see a cell phone tower peeking out. That's the cell phone tower for St. Regis. So occasionally you do see some trappings of the modern world in the Amazon, but not many. We'll keep going. Into day 5, our last day. This is one of the grandsons that came with his grandma. And this is a local fiber artist who had made a cone bra, which I guess he decided to wear for us. So that's kind of cool. But we went to a village visit where we got to go to a school. We got to interact with the children. We had lunch with the locals. We got to meet the women that do the cooking in the community and see how that works. And we got to meet this fiber artist. And then in the afternoon, we had a hike through the jungle. So let's take a look and see what day 5 was like. So we started off with these women. You'll see they're making a mash here. This is to make a local liquor. This will be like a starch that you saw earlier, and it will ferment, and that will become the town hooch. And we'll keep going. And then this lady is a fiber artist named Victoria, and she lives out here making these beautiful crafts. And all of the grass is from Amazonian plants, and then all of the dyes are from different berries or other ways that you can extract colorful dyes in a natural way out in the jungle. She makes all of that from organic materials out there. And we'll keep going. And this town is really cool because I like seeing the recycling. I like seeing this greenness. I mean, this is their town. This is it. And they keep it beautiful. They keep it tidy. And I think there's something maybe we could learn from this example. And we'll go ahead to the next slide and just see again that organic way of life, hanging clothes out on the line. And the next picture. And then we're back into, I again, pictures of the kids. I do have some great video, and that will be on my YouTube of us singing with the kids. But just back into the lunch, and again, even in the scenario, you can see that these folks live in tandem with nature. Our table is banana leaves, which will just be thrown into the compost heap at the end of the day. But there's no waste, there's no plastic. Stamping out single-use plastic is something that really doesn't happen out here because they've never gotten into using wasteful materials like that. You can see the foods, which are like chicken and rice, have been wrapped up with plants and then roasted using the plant as the roasting shell. We'll just keep moving and grooving. Back in the afternoon, here we are in the impenetrable jungle. Just a picture of our group, just kind of making our way in there. But again, you can see people of all ages and walks of lifestyle participating on this small group expedition cruise. Going ahead to this picture is from it's Brazil nuts, which really excited me because I've only had Brazil nuts, and I don't know if it's a Nova Scotia thing where I grew up as a kid, but that's a Christmas thing. You only find that at the holidays, so I really enjoyed finding Brazil nut. But eating a Brazil nut that was so fresh and so creamy and just freshly harvested, I mean, just amazing. And we'll go forward into our penultimate sunset of the Amazon, and people again just making their way the next day. This should be day 6, my bad. We did piranha fishing in the morning, and then we did our final nature walk where again, some of the biggest nature you saw in that video, the big spider, the big snakes, all of that happened, the biggest trees, everything was mega. And of course, a picture on the side of me with my catch of the day, with my red-bellied piranha. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So here we are heading out in the morning. Beautiful weather again. So again, I'm here in the dry season, but even if you can visit the Amazon any time of the year, all wet season means is that those 10-minute showers might be a 15-minute shower, and that the intensity of the rain might be an extra 20 or 30% more. But it just means you just duck in for 10-15 minutes, and it's cooled off and it's fresh and you're good to go. Go ahead, it's me catching the piranha. I'm so excited. I look at this picture and I think about that piranha was still alive and could have bit my underarm, and I don't know if I would have been smiling as much if that happened, but I was really excited because I've never been fishing in my life, and they gave us a wooden stick with like a piece of dental floss, and I was able to catch a piece with a little piece of steak, catch this piranha. And then we brought the piranhas back, and I don't eat fish, but of course they were cooked and you could eat that for lunch. A lot of the food that we ate on Amatista was all sourced every single day. So from these little communities that I'm visiting, while I'm telling you about what I did as a visitor, what I'm not telling you about is that the staff behind the scenes would be sourcing meat and vegetables and fruits from all these little communities. So that was another way that our tourism was supporting the local economy, but we were also able to eat so fresh and experience the Amazon with everybody. Let's keep going. More with me and the fish. I've spent a lot of time here. And then back into the jungle and a change of eyewear, and we're going in to see some snakes, and we'll go ahead here. I didn't get the snakes as much on picture that come up in the videos, but I took this because this was the biggest tree that we saw, and just the amount of vines coming down and the supporting structures. And this moment was made special just because they took us out here and said, let's just all shut up for 5 minutes and just listen to the jungle. And it was just amazing. Just the sounds. I loved it. It's so tall. Like I didn't wear a lot of sunscreen in the Amazon, even though the sun was strong, because there's this canopy, right? So you go into these walks and the temperature's not that bad and you're not burning up. So it was very agreeable. So just wind down, you can see some of the wet leaves just after the rain. Beautiful flower. Go ahead. And then children at this village, I just loved interacting with the Amazonian children. And we'll go ahead. And then our final sunset, and the crew was winding down with us by having a captain's speech, and but not in a formal way like on some cruises, very informal, just their gratitude for us to come all the way to the Amazon and experience their lifestyle and support, again, the importance of the local tourism, the ecotourism, and how this can be used as a way to sustainably drive their economy and provide lifestyles. And you know, our guides are parents, they've got kids to support, kids that are getting schooling, so we get to travel to these places and they get an opportunity to earn a lifestyle doing something they love. I think that's a good win. So we'll just wind up here by going to this last picture of our crew, and here they are singing for us. Of course, it was funny because they'd say, do you have any requests? And I don't know a lot of Spanish songs, so I was like, Feliz Navidad, and they did Feliz Navidad. They did a Christmas song for us in the middle of the Amazon in August. So that was pretty cool. And we'll just go to our last slide here. I believe this is the last one. I'm going to finish. I just got a video that's about 8 minutes long. So I'll have Vincent flip over to our video. That will be our final bit for today's presentation. And this is about the amazing women I met in the Amazon. I hope the sound is a little bit richer, by the way. This is a new way we're trying this presentation. But we'll take a look at that, and then if anybody has any questions or anything they'd like to ask me afterwards, I'll hang on for your questions. Thanks.
I'm DestinationWhatever.com, and I just experienced a week-long expedition-style river cruise in the heart of Peru's Amazon jungle. It was fabulous. One of the things I didn't expect to see was so many people living traditional lives inside the jungle. Meeting the people of the Amazon was a total cultural highlight of this trip.
¿Cómo se llama la jefa? Lourdes, she is the boss.
On this journey, I met a number of Amazonian women that I wanted to tell you about. This is Patricia, and she's taking us for a canoe ride.
But before I do you know how the Amazon was named? Amazon comes from the Greek language where A means no and Mazon means breast. It was bestowed on the river in the 16th century during an attack against a Spanish expedition by long-haired native people. The attack was either led by women or men with long hair, which prompted the name. Let me introduce you to Zaira, who we met in the town of Vista Alegre. She's doing some amazing things to conserve butterflies. The Amazon has over 1,500 species, with new species being discovered regularly. Butterflies are bioindicators because their presence reflects overall health of an ecosystem, and they are important pollinators. Zaira nurtures butterflies through their life cycle, which has 4 stages: egg, larva or caterpillar, chrysalis or pupa, and lastly, adult. We were able to release adult butterflies inside her butterfly house, where they'll remain until they're ready to go into the jungle. Adios to my little butterfly.
There she goes.
Zaira, you are the Amazon's Madam Butterfly.
We are off to go see a shaman.
Buenas tardes con todos.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Mi nombre es Carola.
My name is Carola.
Pertenezco a la etnia Cucama Cucamiria del Marañón.
I belong to the linguistic group Cucama Cucamilla from the Marañón River.
Muy contenta por su visita.
I am very happy of your visit.
Bienvenida a la casa
Welcome to the ceremonial house of the shamans.
Shamans hold a central role in Amazonian culture and can be seen as intermediaries between the human and spiritual world.
Mariquita limpia, quiera pura, cuerpocito, quiera.
Muchas gracias.
Voy a contarles un poco mi historia.
I will tell you a little bit about my background.
Mi abuela era el chamán de esta
My
ribera.
grandfather was the shaman.
Cuando yo tenía 14
When I
años,
was 14 years old,
he participado por primera vez en la
I
ceremonia
was
de la
part of
ayahuasca.
a shaman ceremony.
En esa ceremonia, mi abuelo ha visto que yo tenía el don para
My
sanar.
grandfather, that was the shaman at that moment, saw that I have been born with a gift. So a person that is going to become a shaman has to be born with a gift. La persona que va a ser shaman tiene que nacer con un don. Has to be born with a gift. Yes.
El don aparece una estrella brillante en el aura.
The gift shows up on the top of the head during the ceremony. That's why Carola, my friends, being a leader, a spiritual leader, she has to be really strong. And for her to be strong, she has to follow a strict diet. Dietas, Carola.
En el entrenamiento, mi entrenamiento era 8 años.
During my training process for 8 years,
Con una
she
estricta
said
dieta.
she had extreme diet.
se come pescado y plátano,
fish, plantain,
no sal, no azúcar, no ají, no alcohol,
No
no
sugar,
sexo,
no
mantecas, carne, nada.
nothing.
No era pagkatulong na kwarachita ipira. Sanyuri sanyuri purupani apinya purachi apinya suka. Kunumi mutsana kala era suma suma cuerposita na uri. Ipurupani purupani sanyuri puriki. Sita puripita kayakire saletito na uri. Suma suma cuerposito na uri mamakura.
I underwent an experience with the shaman here in the Amazon, and I don't know what it all means, but I know I'm leaving things behind in the Amazon that I don't need to be holding on to, and I'm going to come back a better man and a better human being, and I'm going to be able to give love and not take negative energy to the heart and hold it. And I've been talking for a while about just being your authentic self, but what does that really mean? And I think I'm on a pathway to something different. It's a really magical place here in the Amazon. I was meant to be here at this time, right here, right now. Yeah.
Towards the end of the week, we visited a small outpost on the banks of the Rio Maranhão, where it was clear that the women ruled the roost. They prepared a lunch for us, which we got to eat on a table made from banana leaves. Sharing food together is one of my favorite parts of traveling. They also mashed yuca, which later, if you can believe it, has spit added to it, to the mashings, which ferments and becomes a local home brew.
The rainforest is here.
It didn't wet my whistle. In the same village, we met Victoria, who's a fiber artist, and she creates beautiful, colorful dyes from plants and berries that can be found in the Amazon.
Yo me llamo María Victoria, tengo 30
Victoria.
años y yo les voy a enseñar cómo se
I am
hace de
30 years
para hacer
old.
diferentes artesanías.
And I will show you how to get the colors.
My week in the Amazon was jam-packed with amazing moments. I'm DestinationWhatever.com, and I'm a travel agent who specializes in connecting travelers to mindful travel experiences around the world. Find me online at DestinationWhatever.com and make sure to hit the like and subscribe button for more content, including my Amazon adventure.
Got a video coming up in the next day or two about the plants, a little bit of a deeper dive. And again, we will take a look at the sound for the next time if you needed to go back and listen to any of that. But I'll just kind of finish by saying I was very emotional after my visit with Carola. And I think the reason why that was my top highlight in the Amazon was that at the end of our session, learning about her, she came to me and she spoke to me through the guide. And she was able to speak about something very personal, which I'm obviously not going to bring up here today, but she was able to speak about certain things that no one else really could have known about things, personal things, passings of family members, things like that. And then she was able to reveal a few other things to me, which really resonated. So maybe that's something that you believe in or get into, or maybe it's a bunch of malarkey for you. But for me, it was very, very, very resonating, as was the whole time in the Amazon. So that's a wrap. It's time to get back to our modern lives and get out of the jungle. But I just want to say thank you, of course, for coming down and hearing what I have to say about the Amazon. Obviously, you know how to get a hold of me. And if you want to ask any questions, feel free to do so. And again, thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Did anybody have any questions? Or comments? Jamie?
Did I hear correctly when they were mashing that they turn it into alcohol, right?
Yeah, they spit in
They
it.
spit in it?
The whole community spits in it. I think it's like anthropologically speaking, I think it's a community thing. And then that with the yucca ferments and becomes the rainforest beer. Yeah. And I swallowed it. I thought I was reaching for a pitcher of banana juice, but it was a pitcher of this rain. And oh my god, it was gross. I did not like it. But anyway, yeah, you heard correctly.
What happened during COVID with all of the boat and everything else? Like, obviously it wasn't running.
I mean, yeah, everything kind of went into a shell. And if you're not operating, you don't have expenses, and the staff were able to keep getting paid so they could, but there was no work to be done. Another interesting thing, Corolla, the shamaness, spoke about COVID, and I'm only here to relay what she told us, and that was that in her community, they didn't have any deaths to COVID. The disease did reach their community, but they were able to suppress any deaths using her traditional plants, her traditional way of healing. She will travel up to 4 hours from her base to service any oak communities, and that's her paddling her canoe up to 4 hours each way for her medical outreach. Other thoughts, questions? Yeah, I don't have the video for you to see today, but I do have a video that I'll be releasing where we went to see the village where the women were making lunch. While they were finishing the preparation, we actually went and had about 30 minutes with the school kids. And they have, it's a very simple school. It's like a one-room schoolhouse sort of thing made with cinder block bricks, but very colorful painted. And the children love to sing. That's what they really love to do for us. So they sang a Spanish song, and then we did head, shoulders, knees, and toes with the kids, and we got to interact, and it's just really playful, and it was really nice. Totally. It's nice having the guides, and I think that's one of the reasons, again, I really like G Adventures, and take that catalog home if you want to flip through it, because you just, for me, it's the 5th trip I've done with them, and it's always getting into these communities and just getting under the skin of a destination. And I don't want to just go and just see museums and stuff in a place like the Amazon. I love those cultural moments, like with the kids. That's just magic. Cool. Awesome. Well, folks, again, thank you so much. Hopefully, I'll be back for another travel talk down the line. But in the meantime, if you need anything, keep in touch. I've got some cards down here. And then even if you just want to see the ayahuasca vines and some of the woods from the Amazon, please help yourselves. Thanks again.